everyone. Welcome to the Veterinary Business Podcast, your ultimate resource for developing a successful veterinary practice and career. I am Naren Arulrajah, and I'm the founder of this podcast and Ekwa Marketing. Today, I am excited to have Ryan Davies with me. He's an expert/digital marketing advisor. He has more than 24 years of experience helping with marketing and sales. On this podcast, we bring you insights and expertise from industry-leading doctors, experts, and thought leaders. We cover a wide range of topics, including practice management, marketing, leadership, HR, AI, law, and more. Whether you are a practicing veterinarian, a practice owner, a practice manager, or a student studying to be a veterinarian, this podcast is tailored to help you navigate the unique challenges and opportunities in the business of veterinary medicine. Every listener of this podcast is welcome to visit veterinarybusinessinstitute.com for additional resources and tools. Ryan, I'm super excited to have you. Why don't you say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Naren. Yeah, I love doing these podcasts with you. We always have a lot of fun doing them. But yes, I'm honored to be working with Naren at Ekwa Marketing as a digital marketing advisor. One of my areas of specialty is in veterinary medicine and helping grow veterinary practices. I have 24 years of sales and marketing experience, over a decade now in the digital marketing space, and really helping practice owners understand how to get found. And once they're found by, those new pet parents that are looking to take care of their pets, how to get chosen, how to be the doctor in the practice that they select. So I know we're talking about a great topic today that's very important to that, to adding that up and to be able to be found for sure. This is one of the key elements of Google's algorithm.
Thank you, Ryan. Super excited to be talking about the topic we have for today, which is how to master NAP. I guess those of you who are familiar with Google SEO know what NAP is because you probably have heard of it. So how to master NAP for veterinary practices. So that's the topic today. Before we jump in, can you maybe talk about Google SEO and perhaps what are some of the things that a practice needs to master if they want to do really well with Google SEO? Of course, NAP is one of them.
Absolutely, yeah. So Google is obviously, it's now a verb, right? It's how everybody does everything. Well over 90% of people, that is where their buying journey or their decision-making journey for a service or something, their product they're purchasing begins. So when you talk about Google, you also talk about, the search results. That's why we go there. We ask a question. We're looking for information on a topic. We're looking for someone specific. So we type that into the search bar. And we trust Google because they have done the research for us. They have, basically vetted out what we're looking for in terms of, is this site trustworthy? Does it have the information that you're looking for? Is it up to date? Does it have original content and original take on this? Does it have authority in this area? So basically the way that it works is Google gives it to you in a way that we understand. We don't have to search, go down to randomly number 78 on the page to find what we're looking for. What we're looking for is right at the top. So they've made it so easy for us to do that. What that also means, though, is that only 5% of whatever the industry is, in this case, veterinary practices, are appearing at those top search results and getting that free Google traffic from those results. So 95% of the traffic is going to those top results. So it's all important to be able to understand how to get to the top of Google. And part of that is Google's algorithm, changing, over 3,000 times a year, 8 times a day when you break it down on average. And when you look at that, there are 6 key factors that come into play on that, whether it's your Google Lighthouse, your technical report card, or do you have original content? How are you doing on Google reviews? Do you have quality backlinks? And one of those key things also is NAP consistency. So that's what we're talking about today is NAP, which is your name, address, and phone number consistency and the importance behind that.
Absolutely. So yeah, the 6 things that Google focuses on when it comes to SEO is NAP, Google Lighthouse Score, Google Eat, original content, backlinks, and finally Google reviews. So those are the 6 things. Now, 5% of the veterinary practices, let me repeat, 5% of the veterinary practices get 95% of the free traffic. So imagine, right? If you are in that 5%, getting 95% of the free traffic, you have an unfair advantage. That's called exceptional search engine optimization. So in the context of SEO, search engine optimization, and let's say the listeners today want to be in that 5%, getting 95% of the free traffic, can you define NAP? What is NAP? What does it stand for? What does it mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as you mentioned, right, if you take, 20 vet practices and put them in a room together, and you said, sorry, 95% is of that traffic is going to one of those practices, right? So 19 out of those 20 are getting the other 5% to share. One is getting 95%. So that's why it's all important, as you mentioned there, Naren. And when we're talking about NAP, it's defined as your name, address, and phone number standard as it appears online. So as you appear in more and more places, your website, Facebook, on Yelp, on, if you have a Groupon, if you're on a best of site and things like that, Better Business Bureau, Yellow Pages online, all of these things, you are going to have your name, your address, and your phone number listed on all of these sites. And NAP consistency has to do with how consistent is it? So does it appear exactly, and I mean exactly the same in each of those areas in terms of name, address, and phone number consistency? So if your name is something along the lines of, for where I am in Winnipeg Animal Hospital and Veterinary Services, or something like that. Is it spelled out exactly the same everywhere? Are there abbreviations? Is the and spelled A-N-D, or is it an ampersand? However you choose that naming standard, it needs to be on every site exactly the same way. Same thing with your phone number. If you have multiple phone numbers, you need to have the one that everyone is using the same on every site. If you have the address, and this is the biggest one. So if you're at, Suite 1 at 234 North Main Street, that is a nightmare for NAP, really. Is it suite? Is it number? Is it STE? Is it just 1-234? Did you spell north, or is it abbreviated N? Is street ST, or is it spelled street? Every single one of those where you make an adjustment, or where it appears differently on a site, is a different NAP profile. So basically, as part of the algorithm score for Google to get you ranked at the top of Google, they want to see, do you have a consistent NAP score? And what's the percentage of places where your profile appears that you have that consistency?
Absolutely. I'm glad you define NAP. NAP is name, address, phone number. And if you want to dominate Google, if you want to be one of those 1 in 20, right, 5% that's getting all the free traffic,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to work on NAP day in and day out, week in and week out, year in and year out. When we take on a client, that's something they're going to get for life. Like, we keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. Now, as far as NAP is concerned, there are two ways a practice can benefit. First way they benefit is each one of those NAP profiles. Like, for example, a NAP profile could be Yelp, your Yelp account, or your Yelp listing. Another NAP profile could be City Search, could be Facebook. So each one of those NAP profiles, meaning where your name, address, phone number is listed, can send you traffic, can send you
Mm-hmm.
phone calls. Remember, I can go to Yelp and call your office from the Yelp page. I can go to Yelp and click on the website link and come to your website. Or I can go to City Search and again call you or click on the link. So each one of those sites will send you traffic. So one of the goals is, how many sites are you listed on, right? Just having more listings on more places is a good thing. So that's the first goal. The second goal around NAP is, okay, fine, you are listed on, let's say, 60 profiles. Now, out of those 60, how many have consistent information? In other words, your address is written exactly the same way in that site plus 29 other sites. That means you have consistent address in 30 places. Same way, how many places do you have consistent name? Exactly the way you write name has to be consistent. Same thing with phone number. So those are the two goals. Now, let's focus on, I'm going to share my comments on the first goal, and then I want you to chime in on the second goal. The
Sure.
first goal is, it's just taking control of these profiles, right? So we have an army of people. We have 14 teams working on behalf of our clients. 9 of those are SEO focused. So one of those teams is the NAP team. So what the NAP team does is, let's say you are the client they are working on, they would go and start claiming and taking control of these profiles. Sometimes, they would have to fill out a form, and other times they may have to wait for a code to activate the profile. So they're just totally starting to take control of these profiles. So now we can start actively managing them. Typically, when we start working with a client, many of them don't even have more than 2 or 3 profiles being actively managed.
Mhm.
Now, after 5-7 years of doing this, 5-6 years of doing this, you could have 100-200 profiles being actively managed. Now, each one of them, think of it like a pop-up store. Like, I can buy an Apple product at a Best Buy. I don't need to go to Apple. So Best Buy sells other things, but Apple makes a lot of money from those hundreds or thousands of Best Buys out there. Same way, you can get a lot of traffic, a lot of people from these many, many, many NAP sites out there because they all add up. So that's the first goal. Now, can you talk about the second goal? Second goal, I think I already explained it, but
Yeah.
talk about your experience. I know one of the things you do is you review the NAP consistency as part of what we call a marketing strategy meeting when you
Yes.
try to get a handle on how clients are doing with SEO.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I jump in, one of the first things I do is again, you mentioned those 6 things off the top, and do an analysis of each of those 6 to see kind of on a report card how you're doing. So NAP is one of those big key 6 sections. And I'll tell you, Naren, it is incredibly rare when I see a high NAP consistency score. It doesn't take long researching to go through to see the errors that start appearing, or just, again, the number of different profiles that are created. And again, as you mentioned, some of them are ones that you've created and you've done. Some of them, you just start appearing places. As you begin to gain more traction, you end up on these best of sites. You end up on sites just because you have a phone number. It gets listed, again, like a Yellow Pages style and things like that, where they are just going to pull an address or a name to the best of their ability. And typically that's where I see it the most, is in address, where you've got a whole bunch of different standards, like I mentioned at the start, whether you're at suite or building number, or, again, if you're spelling it STE, do you have the hashtag, the number sign before it? How is it all listed? Is it listed before or after the address? It can be countless different ways. And that creates each time a new consistency where you say, well, that doesn't relate back to, your original one that you've got as your Google profile, your Google business profile, right? So even on their website, people like to spell it out to have it longer, but then that's not how they match it up to their Google business profile. And it just creates more and more inconsistencies. So really the goal is to make sure you are consistently doing this. And this is something, as you mentioned, it takes a lot of time and effort to do it, because half the time you don't even know who to contact to get things changed. As you mentioned, you're getting a postcard in the mail to verify an address that you have to put in a code for to change your address for some of these sites. It really does create a lot of extra work, and it is a tedious amount of work that, on the surface, again, doesn't feel like it matters. You're like, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anybody can see the difference between suite spelled out or STE spelled out, or the number sign, or whatever it is. They're still going to find where I'm going. They know where to go. But at the same point, this is a point of contention with Google, is to making sure they've got that one profile that everything is coming back to. So you need to set that standard, and then make sure you are doing the work and putting in that work to constantly check, because also month over month, these things change. You appear in more profiles. To Narain's point, practices that have been around for less than a year, or that are just starting, you have far less profiles. But if you've been around for a decade plus, you could appear in places you never even knew possible. You don't even know where that site is, and things to that effect. And it's all driving traffic, but it's all important to make sure that you are paying attention to the consistency and going out and spending the time making those changes in correcting anything to that one profile, and getting it as consistent as possible. And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen one that's perfect. Even ones that we've worked on, they take so much time and effort to make sure you're getting it near perfect. And it may never hit perfect, but it is such a key point of contention for Google, one of those big 6 in their algorithm ranking scores.
Absolutely. NAP is not easy, right?
No.
And we have had challenges with NAP, and the key to success with NAP is just consistent effort. If
Yep.
you just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, you're going to have better NAP scores and better NAP profiles than your competition. And it's not really a question of like, are you getting 100? It's a question of, are you in the top 5%, right? As
Right.
long as you are in the top 5% compared to everybody else out there for NAP, you're doing great. And you will never be perfect, but that's not the goal because there are hundreds of profiles. So how do you know what's perfect? Because there's one more profile you never thought of or you didn't work on that's now causing a problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the
And I
other
mean,
reason
yeah.
and the other reason NAP is a challenge is these profiles, let's say Yelp or City Search, they don't get paid by the doctors, so they have no reason to help us, right? So sometimes it might take a month, 2 months to sort
Yes.
out an issue. Several emails, multiple forms. Just keeping at it, keeping at it, keeping at it, keeping at it, and sometimes we take care of an issue and then that issue shows up again
Right.
because they go and update that system and then all of a sudden whatever that was fixed is no longer fixed. So it can be really frustrating. So one of the things that I try to share with doctors is somebody has to work at it. I mean, it's like people who have great health. I mean, it's overnight success, decades in the making or years in the making, right? They didn't just get there in 2 minutes. They worked on it.
Mhm.
Like I see 70-year-olds who are in better health than 30-year-olds. Of course, it didn't just happen. They have been dedicating themselves to having that great health. They eat healthy every single day. They work out every single day. They do cardio, they do strength, they do all kinds of stuff. Same thing with NAP. It's just you have to be at it. I guess the good news with NAP is you can have somebody else do it for you as long as they're actually doing it. The key is
Right.
is the marketing company actually working on your NAP? So ask them, how many profiles are you managing for me? How many of those profiles have consistent NAP, name, address, phone number information? And then track it over time. So what was it 3 months ago? What is it today? Are things getting better? And obviously, if you're in the top 5% of SEO, your NAP should be good enough because otherwise you won't get into the top 5%. So another
Right.
way to find out if you're doing well is find out if you're ranking for at least 100 or more keywords and phrases on page 1 of Google, meaning the top 10 results. So anything you want to add about some of the challenges you have seen with NAP?
No, I think you absolutely nailed it from that is that, just because it was good today doesn't mean it's good tomorrow, right? And like you said, a lot of times there's again, we're living in a world of AI and automation, right? So they get a new update, they dump new map information into their system and all of the addresses update. Well, if it's not the same standard that you're using, you've got to go back and get it corrected again or correct it yourself again, right? So it's not a one and done situation where you go, great, I'm just going to go down the checklist and I'm good now. My NAP's consistent enough. I'm doing well, but it's constantly checking and seeing, is this one of those key things that's holding me out of the those top 5% of why I'm not one. I'm not the one of one. I'm the one of 19, right, in that group of 20 that's getting all of the traffic. So you're absolutely right. It is a grind. It's a lot of work, and like you said, it doesn't need to be perfect. To graduate magna cum laude at the top of the class doesn't mean you have 100 or a 4.0 in everything that you're doing. Right? It just means that you're working to the best of your ability and you're in that top 5% above the rest of your classmates. Same sort of thing here, right? Against the competition, are you ranking at the top? Are you doing well enough in NAP to be ranking at the top? Or is this one of those key things that's holding you back from being there? And a lot of times I see that happening. This is one of those key six when I do a full marketing report for people. This is one of the big red flags that I bring up quite often.
Thank you. Thank you. As we bring this to a close, I have a question around marketing in general. But before I get to that, what's any final thoughts, Ryan, on NAP?
Yeah, again, this is something where it is tedious, it is challenging. It's one of those things where it's not as easy as just going in and making a change and signing out, sort of a thing. As you mentioned, there's times where it's okay, well, check your email. We sent you a mail postcard. You're going to get it in 7 to 10 days and things like that. It is a challenge. It's something that you need to work at, and have a team that works at for you is by far the easiest, because the last thing you need to be doing is managing your practice and thinking, gee, is my name, address, and phone number up to date everywhere to the standards it should be? And how frustrating it would be to know that that is what's costing you revenue. It's costing you new clients and new pet parents coming through the door, right? So if you're if you're not part of that top 5%, this could be one of the big things that's holding you back. And it's great to have somebody to rely on to make sure that you get that corrected and, get all of the new clients and all the revenue that you're working so hard to achieve.
Thank you. So as we bring this to a close, my last question is, okay, let's say somebody's listening to this podcast and they're like, I want to be in the top 5%. I'm currently
Right.
not in the top 5% because I don't rank for 100 or more keywords.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting 95% of the free traffic that the top 5% enjoy. What can they do? What do you recommend they do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Naren, I know well enough. I've listened to you well enough. I've worked with you long enough now to know that, as you mentioned before, tracking results is everything, right? You need to know your data. You need to understand where are you at today to understand where you want to get to next. And for a lot of people, they say, I don't know if I'm in the top 5%. How do I know if I'm ranking for 100 keywords? How do I know how I'm doing against my competition? How do I know my NAP consistency, right? So that's really where I love to come in and offer my resources to say, well, let me tell you, I'll give you that report card. I'll spend the time. I'll go through your online presence and understand, are you in the top 5%? If you are, great. If you're not, what's holding you back, and showing you all of those things that are holding you back. And then from that same perspective as well, if you are in the top 5%, are you now converting like you should be? Or are you just getting a ton of free traffic, but you're not set up for that second part of the marketing marketing roadmap of, great, people can find me because I'm in the top 5%, but I'm not turning that into new patients, right? So really, that's what I love to do. I think I'll just, I know with the Veterinary Business Institute podcast here, if you go to veterinarybusinessinstitute.com/MSM/Ryan, so RYAN, my first name, you'll have a free access to my calendar there. Pick a time. If you spent the time to listen to the episode right now, go that next step and understand what this means for you. How is your NAP consistency doing? And how are the other 6 categories? How are you doing in those as well, right? Or the other 5, categories as well. Get the full report card, because without that understanding of where you are now, you won't understand how to get into that top 5%, where the focus needs to be, and what heavy lifting can be done on your behalf to make sure that you can focus on every other aspect of running a successful practice while getting all of those new clients that you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining me today and talking to me about how to master NAP for veterinary practices. Appreciate it very much. I also want to take a moment to thank our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you. We cannot do what we do without you. If you like our podcast, please share it with your colleagues, write a review for us, share it on social media. And till we meet again next time, have a wonderful, amazing week ahead, taking care of your pets and building relationships with your pet parents.
Thanks, Trent.